Jessica Lewis. I am in Eugene, Oregon, and I'm with Priscilla Hennekam. Did I say that right, Priscilla?
Perfect.
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 And
Yeah.
she's in
Yeah.
Adelaide, Australia, South Australia, and you're 16 hours ahead, aren't you?
Yes. It's
Hours
like in
ahead
the morning here.
on this call.
In Wednesday, the afternoon and it's still Wednesday. He's already Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday. I know you're in the future, which I always
Yeah.
thought was so fun to do that. So, and I'm going to come visit too, and you can visit
So,
me. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about the broadcast and what's going on, and then we are going to talk about you. So, the Time to Wine is a live broadcast featuring experts in wine, social media, marketing, and leadership. And it's every other Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the StreamYard broadcast is featured on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That is every other Friday at 11 a.m. And this will start in October. It will be every Friday, and you will be on a Friday at 11 a.m. And then we'll probably do a live broadcast too. So now I've started a live broadcast. I've been approved for LinkedIn Live, and the live broadcast is on Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube, which is quite fun. And that we are doing on various days of the week based on our international schedules. So Priscilla Hennekam is did I say that right? Hennekam. Okay.
yeah.
Priscilla Hennekam is a specialist in wines for the past 5 years, and she has visited more than 30 wine regions around the world and is in Adelaide, South Australia. So why don't we talk a little bit about, and you're from Brazil and
Yeah.
Natal, correct?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your work history and how you ended up in Australia, because I love this Brazilian Australian accent.
Yeah, such a mixed accent. So I'm originally from Brazil, because I left Brazil 10 years ago. So went to Argentina first. In Argentina, that's how pretty much I studied wines in university. So it was that time I actually had the first contact in the wine industry. And then was getting loved so much. It's like that is something I wanted to do for my future. I was 20 years old. And then it's very rare for one person 20 years old to actually find a passion and where to go with and what to want to work with. And I think like I was so lucky to actually have a class of wine. It's like, that's what I want to. And then after that, I went to Argentina, and in Argentina, I started to work in the wineries in Argentina. And then after that, they work with sales, and that's tourism. And that's the wine tourism in Argentina is quite big. There's a lot of Brazilians over there as well. So was the my first job be really to work in the wine industry. And then after that, after working 4 years in Argentina, I came to Australia, and I have been in Australia for over 5 years now.
So in Brazil, I know there's wine in Brazil, but it's not.
Yes.
Tell us, talk about the wine in Brazil real quick.
Yeah. So
The
Brazil,
Brazilian wines.
yeah. So the Brazilian wines, it's something new for a lot of the people. I don't know if you had tried some, Jessica. Have you tried some wines from Brazil or no? Not
Well,
really.
I've been to the resorts in Brazil, and they had wine, and I'm not sure they're Brazilian wines, but I'll send you a picture, because they may have been wines from other locations, but I think I have some Brazilian wine that we bring back from Brazil. So yes.
Yeah, so Brazilian wine has been a little bit in the market, but was in the beginning not doing higher quality wines, and that scenario is changing now. So the scenario now, people try to do more fine wines and higher quality wines, and that's we see much more great wines coming from Brazil now. But it's still in the beginning of that change with that more fine wine. So we see in the last decade and that is why people is still not so familiar, because before we actually was planting with a lot of the species we call Viti Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and they are not very recognized for good quality wines. And then now you change in Brazil, now investing much more to planting Viti vinifera. So that's the species we know, Chardonnay, Shiraz, the grapes we are familiar with. And that's we growing quite quickly in Brazil, and you see much more quality wines coming from that region. South of Brazil is the biggest plantations of vines, and of a lot of wines come from the south, but we see wines from the north as well. And then we see it now, and then in Sao Paulo. So Sao Paulo now, the winery I'm working for. So we are actually investing in Espírito Santo do Pinhal. So it's very close to Sao Paulo capital, so capital city.
So what I wanted to ask you about your wine studies. So you started studying wine in Brazil, but are you in the middle of did you have your WSET 4? Have you finished that?
Yeah, I'm very close to finish. So I have it done, I would say 90%. I just need to do one exam now in October. So that's my last exam to be able to finish. I started the last year, February last year, and then with 2 years in total for you finish. But in reality, I think we did it 1 year and a half. I did all the exams already. This is like a 6 steps to be able to get your diploma. And the last step is a big exam when you talking about wines from the world. And plus we have a blind taste as well. So.
And I have a WSET too, but I need to study wine a little further. My expertise is kind of wine business, and I need to actually taste different wines and study different wines, and I like hearing about your studies too. So, okay, so you were faculty of tourism in Natal. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so that's my degree. So that's how I started. So I was in a class because we have foods and drinks subject, and in Brazil, so we're just talking about different types of beverage, and then different types of food, because we work in tourism, you work in the restaurants, you work in hotels, so you need to know what's going on. And then one of the subject was wine, and the other subject was gastronomy. And I was like, wow, I like that too. That's actually something interesting me. And then when you need to choose something for my thesis, I chose actually both gastronomy and the wine, and the we call enogastronomy. So that's the combination between these two. And I did my thesis, and I started to meet a lot of people in the wine industry, and they all are passionate about wine. And probably you are passionate about wine, because it's very its own industry. You see a lot of people so in love with, and I think that's what actually made me, wow, I really wanted to be part of this, because I like that environment, the people just working with this smile on the face, and then not really try to be like they are always every day is a new challenge, but they don't give up, and just keeping doing and try to get the best, and they're going to the next step. And it's nice to study about wines, and it's like, okay, I just need to know a little bit more. And I took with these people was because Natal, where I'm from, it was quite a small city compared to the others. It's still 1 million people, but quite small city. So I did not see in that time a lot of opportunities for me to be able to grow in the wine industry there. So that's why I left soon as finished my degree. So I did my thesis, meet a lot of the people, and then it was amazing. And then I did not see in that time opportunity for me to grow in my city. And that was one of the reasons I just decided to leave and do my international career.
And so so then you went, you went to Mendoza, Argentina. Okay, do you want to talk about Mendoza and how you did that? And I think it is nice that you figured out when you were 20 something you loved. And I think people that are interested in wine, I'm very interested in history, and so there's just something particularly captivating to me about it, and wine in history and the history all over the world. So I think it's so interesting. So okay, so let's talk about Argentina.
Argentina was beautiful. It was an amazing experience. I hope you have been in Argentina. Have you?
I've been to Buenos Aires, but I haven't been to Mendoza.
Oh, you should go to Mendoza. If
Okay,
you
I
love
should
your
try
wine,
Mendoza. Okay,
yes.
yeah, I need to come to Adelaide too. Okay.
Yeah, Adelaide in Mendoza should be in your list next time. Mendoza is 50% of the wines comes from Mendoza, like from Argentina, of course. 50% is made in Mendoza, so that's the biggest production in Argentina. And then that's a lot of your wines comes from Malbec grape. So that's a good thing as well. So it's completely different the what I'm working now in Australia. So a lot of Shiraz in Australia, and there was a lot of Malbec. So different grapes, different stories, and different backgrounds in the wine industry. So it's amazing when actually we get out of your country and you live in different countries and understand that. Mendoza, it's a place completely different of Australia as well. So we have a lot of it's more dry. It's very dry. It's not raining at all. It's like a very we feel like a lot of high altitude as well. So we have like a place like Salta, we can get like 3,000 meters in altitude. It's a lot of higher than what are the places we find here in Australia. So it is quite a big difference in between climate and soils, and then even like a choice as well for what are they doing in the vineyards as well is quite different as well. So we don't see as much bush vines there, and then in Australia here we still have a lot of bush vines. So you can find a lot of the difference between that two markets, and then that is the good things about wine. We always learning something new every day. And then so Mendoza was a beautiful. So I stayed 1 week in Buenos Aires, went to Rosario for 3 months, and then after that I went to Mendoza, and then that's in Mendoza that's how I found like in my place. I was living there was 4 years, and they started a Escola Argentina de Sommelier in Mendoza. So it's Argentina is school for wines over there, very well known. And then decided to work in the wineries there. I worked in for Los Toneles in Mendoza, and after that, I working with some Brazilian consumers. So we just private sales to directed to Brazilians, and then one store as well. So we're doing both. And then after that, I just went to Parque Hyatt. So I worked as sommelier in the Parque Hyatt in Mendoza. It was a great experience, like one of the best hotels in Mendoza and the city, and the 5-star hotel. So it was a good step up. So it was pretty nice.
What is Adelaide like? I've been to the Gold Coast, and then I've been to Melbourne, and then where is Adelaide, and where is it located, and what's it like?
So Adelaide is we are very close to the wine regions. So I guess a lot of the places in around the world, sometimes the city is not close to the wine regions. So I think Adelaide it's very well. Like for example, if you're going to Perth, you are 3 hours from Margaret River. But here in Adelaide, you are an hour from Barossa and 30 minutes from Maclavelle, from the city, or maybe 40 minutes to Adelaide Hills. So the wine region is quite close to the city. So that's cool. So people can come to visit us and then to stay in Adelaide, but still can go to the wine regions. And they have so many wine regions around Adelaide as well. So that's other good things as well. So people can go choose different wine regions and stay for a week, and then visit the different wine regions if they want to. So it is a place with, like, we have Clay Valley, Barossa, Eden Valley. We have Langhorne Creek, McLaren Vale, Adelaide Hills. So just six, like I already mentioned, six. And the wine is everywhere. And the wines in Australia, it's you see a lot of very good quality wines. People really care about the vines, how they're growing, and you see a lot of the technology as well we're using now to be able to get the best fruit and to save the water. They're very worries about the climate change as well. So some of the wineries is already thinking about the future, about the climate change. So climate change is something affect very hard here in Australia. So we can talk about that a little bit more when you want to. But yeah, climate change, it's being, it's not just in Australia, I guess in around the world. I would say even America as well, probably suffering as well with that. But yeah, in Australia, we have seen a lot of change with the climate change.
I love it. You know, I'm in a wine zone too. So I'm in the Oregon wine zone, which is kind of considered an under tapped wine zone. But I've got winery. If you visit me, I've got wineries all around me as well in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley. So okay, so you have a 5-star. You're a 5-star sommelier, or you were working toward that. Are you?
Well, so I was doing been more familiar when I was working in Argentina. So since I arrived here in Australia, I try to be more in the wine business like you. I guess I try to change a little bit more about to work with my brain more than just the wine service or in the restaurants. So I change a little bit now. So now I'm developing a new winery in Brazil, and I try to do more digital spacing, marketing work than I actually was before, when I was more concentrating working in the more in hospitality. I guess when the beginning of my career was more hospitality, now I try to be more in the business side. I think probably they think we have in common, right? You
Yes,
prefer the business side as well
the
than the
business side.
hospitality. Yeah. So, and I have been more studying. And then that's the good thing about the West. It's because the West is more focused on the we understand the business as the opportunity, the business, and what the weakness, and so what we can actually then do better for the business. So that's then teach you quite a bit in that in the West at for. So I quite enjoy that because that's have me helping as well to find a place where I wanted to work.
Do you have a dog in the background?
Sorry.
Do you have a dog in the background? I hear
No,
a dog.
well, I just the top in that it's it's just like it's not a dog. I think it's like it's just some I don't
Stuffed
really know
animal?
this. Yeah.
No, I could hear a dog in the background, so I just wondered if there was a dog back there. Okay,
I
now
wish
I'm
I had
interested
one.
in hearing. I'm a big international traveler, and you're a big international traveler, so I want to hear about you traveling to 30 different countries to visit the wine zones, and how did that happen?
Yeah, it was just like a big adventure. I probably have done some big adventures as well, Jessica. I would like to hear some of your stories as well around the world because I know you have talked to me a little bit before. You have done a lot of travel, and we like you talking a little bit as well. But I have done is like yeah. So one, yeah, always had this dream since I started to study wines, to because everyone's talking about European wines, and then you're just curious to go into these different regions if you just know about the book and you never go. And then that's why I decided to go to Europe for a long time and just going to visit all these regions they always are being learning and people talking about, and all this in the books, and then I never heard and never been like a proper being. And then that's why I decided in 2018 I did the Court of Maximilian exam in Argentina, and then after that went to Europe for 3 months just to travel to one region. So we went to Rioja, went to Champagne, we went
Oh, wow.
to Ribeira del Duero, we went to do all this like most well known one with Alsace, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Languedoc. France we did north to the south. We just got the car and we went to Portugal, went to Italy, Tuscany, Piemonte, just travel and see like what the wine industry can offer to us. It was amazing. It was amazing. My husband didn't know anything about wine. He just became like, oh my God, I learned so much in this trip. Because always we go, always people talk about the soil, about the climates, what to make the wines the different between the world, and you taste different wines every day. And then they make it just such a great experience. But tell me about you. You haven't been to Italy as well. I have been to Brazil. I have been to so many places. Yes.
Well, you've probably been more, but I was working in Europe for 4 years, so then I was doing, traveling around Europe, but went to France and Amsterdam and Croatia and Turkey, and I'm trying to think, in Greece, and then I've been to Italy 12 times, so I've been all
Oh,
over
wow.
Italy, so I can really get around Italy, and so what I was doing the last time I was there is I was going to towns where they couldn't speak English, and so I need to study Italian again, but then I was forced it was really fun, to stay in cities where there aren't tourists. So I would have to speak in Italian, but I got to see some of these amazing things that they would send me to and that nobody had ever seen. So that was really interesting. And then I'm trying to think, so I've been to Australia, so I've been to Melbourne and I've been to the Gold Coast
Beautiful
and I've been
places.
to Brazil 14 times. So I've been all over. I've been to Florianopolis, and I've been to
I guess when you like
Manaus.
one, I guess when you like one place, you just go many, many times.
Well,
Like in
yes, I
Italy,
do
you
that
go 12
sometimes.
times. Going to
I
Brazil.
still don't think I've had enough of Italy because every time I go, I don't. You'd have to. I like living there because there's so many historical things to see. I'd
Yeah.
love to go to Israel, and there's just so many places I'd like to go. So now let's talk a little. Let's okay. So now that we're on that topic, let's talk a little bit about culture shock.
It's you probably
Tell us
you
some of it. So you've had Brazil to Argentina, Brazil to Australia. What's some of your
yeah.
culture shock stories?
Yeah, so it's actually very good question because it's always a culture shocking when you move countries. And then I guess for you, it's something you can actually tell me. You told me a story about when you went to Brazil and the people just saw you like, oh my God, you're so different. Your clothes are different. Your
Yeah,
hair
and
is
I always
different.
think I'm not wearing the right thing or I don't have on the right clothes, and then everybody always likes what I have on, whatever it is interesting.
Yeah. And then we always have this. It's quite in Brazil. We are love foreign people. We actually love people from different countries or overseas or people just it's different. So you just see find like that people so special, and then that's probably why you find it like yourself very special in Brazil because that's how we treat you like a princess.
But yes, I like last time I went, and I was so worried about well, I was telling you my entire family has cosmetic surgery except me. I was so
Yes.
worried about my clothing. I was so worried about that. I was so worried about all of it. And I got there and they're like, "You look like Victoria Beckham." And
Yeah,
I'm very
so
tall when I'm in Brazil.
and
So
yeah, so because in Brazil it's so cheap today to do like these plastic surgeries, like cosmetic surgeries. So people just do it because they wanted to become like perfect bodies, perfect faces. It's just like culture things, and it just became more and more common, and it became more and more popular. But I don't see that in Australia either.
yeah.
So it is quite a different when you're talking about like doing like go to the surgery to do something for your nose. It's very, but Australia, no, that's doesn't happen. And in Brazil, just doing it every day. But
Sometimes
yes,
they do things like, "Oh gosh, I have a wrinkle here," and then insurance will pay for it. Or, "I don't like this. This makes me really sad." Can you do something about it? Okay.
yeah, we just have all these things. But I guess in Australia, I guess in Argentina and Australia, very lucky. I guess both of them they have such a good human sense. So then, pretty much more easygoing people. I guess some countries can be like a more cold feeling. Like Brazil, we pretty much more a lot of affection. We like huggy, we like kisses, we like
Yes, I'm
so.
familiar. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
I guess in Australia, it's not that far, but at least they're more accepting that, I guess. So they are pretty happy to be more closely after one time you have been friends. And I guess other country that's you'd be insane and you can't not doing that. You can't really shake the hands. I guess in Australia, because we shake the hands, we smile more, we like to having fun together, we like to have a drink together. It's easy to make friends in Australia. So I was not suffering as much like a big shock culture. But I guess if I go into some places where people's a little bit, the culture is a little bit more cold, more, I'm here, you're there, some
Mhm.
Asian countries or something like that. So I thought maybe that will be a little bit more different. But I think in Australia was pretty easy going, and in Argentina because it's close to Brazil was something more similar as well. I think Brazil and Argentina we just can't talk about football, but if it's not football, if it's not soccer, so we can actually be friends. But if it's soccer, we just
Yeah,
I
and the
just fight.
Brazilians and, yeah, the
Yeah.
Brazilians and the soccer, yes, okay. So now, let's talk about COVID impacting the hospitality industry in Australia.
Yeah, so it's been like quite difficult for Australia now because Australia, like I told you before, I don't think I told you in this interview. Australia been closed the borders for people from different countries for overseas, so we pretty much closed to anyone can come. So you can't get out, and the people can't get in. And a lot of the people in Australia was actually from overseas, like a lot of students in Australia. So the big thing here about Australia, most of people living here then think from overseas. Really, we have like a big multicultural country. So we have people from South America, but we have people from Asian. We have a lot of Chinese people live in Australia. And then that thing with the borders closed to the to actually for the students can come to Australia. These jobs for hospitality, it was pretty much no money could no work in that. And the people was working in Australia was working hospitality. When COVID in March, in April, March, when the COVID started in Australia and they had the lockdown, everything closed, a lot of people in hospitality actually lost their jobs and they start to find the other jobs. It's not only a hospitality place because we didn't know the future about hospitality after COVID. And that's what's happened. So when they actually open the restaurants again, so everyone want to get out and have a drink and have a lunch and have a dinner outside, but we didn't have a people to hire, so they became like a big problem. So a lot of the hospitality jobs is having no one to actually work for, and then because Australia have such a higher, they really require a lot of skills for working in hospitality because they really wanted to give you like a five-star service. Now we don't really find these people anymore because these people don't coming from overseas. We don't have people to hire. We don't have the people from Australia don't want to work in hospitality because they don't know about the lockdown. And if they don't get a job, or if they lost a job again, how do you need to start everything again? So they just try to get out of hospitality. And now we have like thousands jobs available in hospitality and no one for work. And then a lot of the places like you have to work with very short staff because they can't really find people to work for. And then that's a big thing now in Australia. So we don't really know how we'll be. We hope the borders open after the vaccine and everything's coming back how it was before. But yeah, so now they're changing our visas as well. People have a student visa and work in hospitality. Before COVID, they could work just 20 hours. Now they don't have a limit anymore. If you work in hospitality, have a student visa, you can work in many hours you want.
So
Whatever you want.
how is COVID going right now in Australia? I'd like to hear because we can just kind of compare notes.
So before was pretty controlled because we have one case of COVID in Australia. We have locked out for 7 days, and then pretty much we try to find everyone have contact with that person to try to stop it, the contamination. But at the moment, because we were doing that and have pretty much in COVID in control in Australia, it was very slow with the vaccination. Like probably in America, everyone had the vaccine, I would say, and in Australia was very very slow. But now because we have a Sydney, Melbourne with a lot of cases, we have like 1,000 cases in Sydney now, almost 200 cases in Melbourne. Being both the cities in lockdown now, and then they started to everyone wanted to take the vaccine. Now we can go. Before was just people for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years. Now it's everyone. So, and then, yeah, so I hope now we have 40% of people vaccinated when the government say when you have 8%, so he can think about to open the borders again. So I hope everyone just take these things so serious and take the vaccination and we can actually get out of this lockdown and these borders closed because have you been closed for 2 years, almost 2 years now?
And I think are we wearing masks again full time? Are you wearing masks in Australia?
Yes, for
We have to wear masks when
supermarkets
we're
and
out.
yeah,
And
for
so
super for some places yes, some places not. Like here in South Australia, when I believe if you're going to shopping or if you're going to supermarket, I have to use masks. For example, Townsville is a little town in Queensland. So my husband was working there, so they did not use masks over there. Just it depends if you are in small or big places in Australia and see if you're having more cases around. So then they monitoring masks sometimes and sometimes they don't. they're not asking you to use it. So it's just stepping off the place, because each state have a different prime minister, and then that's what they decided what they want to for the state.
So, real quickly, so we're at about 30 minutes. So, I wanted to ask you about your business, and then we'll do a close, and then we can talk more. We'll figure out how to, between our 16-hour time difference, how we can do this live. So, we'll talk about if we could do it in the morning or we have to do it in the afternoon. So, we'll figure it out. Okay. So, talk about your business and what you do.
So at the moment, I'm working in different projects. So I was working in the winery till May in Barossa Valley. So I'm still living very close to Barossa, 20 minutes from Barossa. But since then, since January, I started to working developing a new winery in Brazil, and then that's taken me a long time, and that's taken me a lot of work. And that is one of the reasons I just left the winery here, because we can't really work with different wineries brands. It sometimes can be a little bit competitions, and can be so. I left that in May, so I started to more concentrate in my business. I was doing that before in a way. So my business is just in helping communicate better, to create content. We're doing podcasts as well. We do YouTube channels. So we're actually doing some videos as well for wineries, to promote the winery. So we doing write blogs, and we actually in the company doing different digital spaces to create content in different things, but then actually see different opportunities as well to grow in sales. So the idea is as well to be able to grow in sales and see what we can do better for get a better DTC, direct customer. Here in Australia is quite big. And then we train as well and represent wine brands in different events. So that's what the Hennekam wine consultancy we do. So we do a lot of digital spaces, but a lot of the branding as well, thinking about and helping business to grow. And then with the other things is that's one of the things, and the podcast is part of that. They create content. So that is one thing I think you saw in my Instagram.
Yes,
So
I know. It looks so interesting. I wanted to hear more about it, so you can tell me more about it too. So do
Yeah.
you have so what I was gonna ask you is also, so you were talking a little bit about this a minute ago, but talk about how you market yourself on different social media platforms.
So yeah, so actually I marketing myself in different social media. So if you see my Instagram, you'll probably see more about. I talk a little bit to what I'm doing in different countries, like a little bit the wine we had the winery we're developing in Brazil, but then talking a lot about Australian wines as well, and a lot of that you'll be in Portuguese language, because we have that course. We're talking that is the only course is about Australian wines in Portuguese, and that's developing as well as a business thinking about Brazilian consumers. So that is why my Instagram, you'll probably see a little bit mix between English and Portuguese. My LinkedIn is pretty much more focused on what we're doing for the business in the wineries in Australia. So that is, you see much more posts about how we can help people, a lot of tips about how they can increase your visibility and your sales, and then what you need to looking for when you post things in the social media. So and of course they create content as well. I'm sharing that as well, and they're both Instagram and Facebook and then LinkedIn, about the different content I create in like in podcasts, videos and blogs and stuff. So, but yeah, so we probably see a lot of the sales I can get from my courses comes from the Instagram, and a lot of the companies I'm working with in Australia come from the LinkedIn. So I have like a two different target market, I would say, and then different channels. So yeah, so that is it's a little bit like it's two different things. So you see quite a little bit confusing sometimes. A lot of Portuguese stuff in my Instagram, by the way.
I'll look at your Instagram. And like you said, I need to work on, when I have a free moment, I need to work on TikTok. I need to work on Instagram Reels. And then doing some broadcasts on Instagram. I feel like I'm just continually doing something new and something different. So you can tell me what to do when we're finished here. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll just what I'll do is I'll do our little wrap up here. So again, So we are going to be doing a live broadcast, and you can communicate with us live. And Time to Wine, I have 3 different broadcasts. One is at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every other Monday. I have one that's on Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is every other Friday, but is moving to every Friday because we have so many people lined up. And then I am lining up live broadcasts where we will go live. And so far, I'm working with Europe a lot. So it's early in the morning for me and late in the afternoon for them. And then we've got to figure out what to do with you. We might have to have just an afternoon one. So we'll talk about that too. So anyway, feel free to contact either of us. I've got both of our information right here. So you can contact her if you'd like to hear Priscilla more about her business and what she's doing. And I'm Jessica Lewis, and my Twitter handle, Facebook, Instagram, etc. is here. So I'm just going to do a little closing, and then we'll end the broadcast, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Beijos.
Thank you so much.
What do you say in Australia? Bye. How do you say bye? Just bye, or I know they do. What do you do?
Yeah, good day. Just say good day. Like
good day. Okay, good day. Okay. I'm going to just post this, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay.
See you in a minute. Bye.